going to do our vertical Jade. So this is a bit of a funny one really in where it lies and whether it's a fake split or a true split, because you're a little bit off to the side in the pole, just because of the positioning of where your legs are and where your hips are as well, because we set it up from a brass hook. So do you need to have a full true split passively to do this? I would say not, because the position of the arms, and you kind of pull yourself in so you can really push your hips in. But if you are close to a split, or if you do have your true split, then it will be a better line, because we can fake it to a point with this one. I hope that makes sense. So definitely make sure that you are confident and comfortable in your brass hook, because that really is the setup, and not just the setup, but really the grip point of this vertical Jade. So that's how we're going to do it today. We're going to do a climb to a brass hook. And now if you're struggling with that, get into your brass hook however you feel comfortable getting into that. I know that some girls here at the studio still prefer to do a shoulder mount into a brass hook and pull up that way. So please feel free to do that if you'd like to. But just for this video, I'm going to climb and go into a brass hook. And really the most important thing here is the pushing forward of the hips, dare I say, thrusting the hips, because the more you thrust, the better the grip will be. So let's talk grip points. So of course, from your brass hook, it's going to be down the back of your thigh. But what we want to do is lean over and wrap the elbow onto the pole underneath your brass hook. So whichever leg is in your brass hook, the same arm is going to wrap underneath your knee, and you really do want it in your elbow. It is very hard to fake it and miss and get it here. You need it in your elbow, because that is really the grip point, and you're squeezing in from there. So same arm as leg, hooks under the knee, wraps around the pole, right in that elbow pit, and as soon as you wrap it, squeeze it, of course, so engage your biceps and squeeze it in, pulling your hand or wrist around to the other side, because that's really, we need that strong grip point. Your other arm will assist, so it will also wrap, so you're hugging and squeezing in, with the major one being the same arm, the first one that we're going to wrap. So let's just try that first. So we'll take a climb, or like I said, you can go into your brass hook however you feel comfortable, but we'll get into our brass hook, and then what we're going to do is bring your other leg to the back of the pole. Don't worry at this point how kind of ugly or clunky that might be, because we're not going to worry about the finesse at the moment. We're just going to bring that foot to the back of the pole, and what that does, it's just going to be a little grip point so we can brace into that foot a little bit, lean over and wrap that elbow underneath the knee, and then if you can wrap the other one, but we really want to focus on that same elbow as the leg that is in your brass hook. So let's give that a try. So into that brass hook we go. Now, like we said, other foot, bring it to the back of the pole. Lean over, same side as the leg. Same arm wraps underneath, get that elbow in and squeeze it. Now start to extend that leg down the bottom of the pole a little bit, and then you can wrap your other arm around and really squeeze your thigh to your chest. That is quite unattractive, that position at the moment, but we're really trying to emphasize how much you need to pull your thigh into your chest. Now your opposite arm does not need to get it, you don't need to get it into the elbow, you just want to wrap it and hug. Okay, so when we are leaning and wrapping, what we want to do is think about pulling the pole towards you and your chest to the pole. Because what that does, rather than just kind of bracing and pulling like that, you want to do this. And I know that your thigh, your leg is in between that. So that is actually getting quite squished, to be quite honest. Your leg is quite squished in this position, but it really helps to think of both pulling in towards each other like this, as opposed to just trying to do that. So squeeze it in and pull your chest in at the same time, and jam that leg in between so that your grip is on the back of your thigh, and then we don't need the knee anymore because, of course, for our split, we are going to extend the leg up the pole. Where you are positioned for your brass hook, that will determine where this leg ends up. And also, the other thing will determine that, of course, is your flexibility just in your hamstrings and your hip flexors, but also in your hips in general, because if your hips are tight and you're not quite in that split, you'll actually really need to lean, and so your leg will be off to the side more, which is fine. It's still going to look beautiful as long as you are engaged, pointed toes and extended, then it's still going to look lovely, so don't worry about that too much. If you find split nice and easy to sit in, then you're just going to extend that leg up the pole there. So with your back foot, don't worry too much if you need a little bit of toe grip. I am not saying flex your foot. I don't think I'd ever say that unless we were doing a contemporary dance class. Otherwise, don't think about flexing your foot, but you might need a little bit of toe grip whilst you're setting up and sliding that leg down the pole. Don't worry about that. There's so much happening. You're spinning at the time. It won't ruin the finesse of the move is what I'm trying to say. So if you need a little bit of toe grip, that's fine, because we do want to extend that leg down the pole. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to extend that bottom leg down the pole. To get your legs straight, you have to engage your quads, or they're not going to straighten, because you have to actively now get into this split. So you need to, on both legs, but particularly that bottom one, you really do need to pull your kneecaps up, extend your ankles and point your toes so that your legs are actively in that split rather than just sitting it with relaxed legs. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into our brass sit, hook the bottom elbow, leaning over, bring that other leg to the back of the pole, bring that bottom arm under, give yourself a hug, and remember, pull in and squish your thigh between the pole and your chest. And then we're going to try to extend both legs, pulling up the kneecaps and the quads. Let's give that a try and see how we go. All right, so we'll come into our brass hook here. And we will lean over to the side, bring that leg down, hook the bottom elbow, hug, squish, and then extend. Pull up those kneecaps. Now to get out of it, just re-hook back into your brass hook, and the grip is so solid on the back of your thigh, you won't really go anywhere. So it's good. It's a nice, safe way to get out. So that's kind of the bare bones of how to do that move. But let's talk about how we really lean into it, make it strong, and so that we can hold it as well a little bit longer. So like I said at the beginning, you should be really thrusting your hips. So think crotch to pole, really, crotch to pole, squeeze and thrust. And it really is, now that you've kind of locked yourself in with your hug and your brass hook with the extension, now what you really want to use is the push of the bottom foot. So as you extend this leg down, it'll sit around here somewhere, the pole, kind of from your ankle to the front of your foot. And you really need to use that as a push, because when you use that, you squeeze and push, and it is like maximum engagement and thrust, really. The more you do that, the more beautiful the line will be, because the closer your hips will be to the pole. So there's a lot going on, but in terms of just our push-pull, it's really you're pulling, squeezing in here, and then you're pushing out of the bottom foot so that you can squeeze your bum and push your hips forward. So that really is where the major strength comes from this pose, and from making it really beautiful, and of course holding the pose. So we'll do it again, and let's just recap that one more time. So from our brass hook, top leg comes down, lean over, hug, squeeze, bottom arm assists, hugging in, squishing your thigh between your chest and the pole. Now from here, we're going to extend the bottom leg down and start to extend the top leg. And remember now you have to fire through your quads, pull up your kneecaps and extend through your ankles and toes. And now to really lean into it, to take it to that next level split, we are squeezing and thrusting as much as we can, really trying to think about pulling in and pushing your hips forward, kind of into the pole as much as you can. So let's try that with that emphasis on the hips now, really pushing and thrusting. So we'll take a climb, or however you like to get into your hook. And we'll bring this top foot down to the back of the pole, lean and squeeze. Start to extend, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Now thrust, really, really thrust, pushing through the bottom foot.
And another key tip here is to roll your top leg in, so your knee and your thigh are rolling in towards your body.
And then of course to get out, re-hook into that brass hook. So massive engagement through the glutes, hamstrings, and to push. Okay, so once you have practiced that and you're feeling pretty confident with it, then we can start to think about how we can finesse this move. So there's a couple of little things that I like to do to make this look really beautiful. The first thing is I definitely like to do it with more spin, because again, it takes the focus off the little cheats that we have to do in order to get into the move. So if we do need a little bit of a toe grip on the pole, and as we're kind of wrapping into our hug position, to our embrace position, it's nice to spin just a little bit faster if you can. That also takes a little bit of practice, because we're kind of looking all around the places we're setting it up. So don't make yourself nauseous, but if you can start to practice it with a little bit more spin, it just looks really beautiful. So even though we're spinning faster, one nice way to finesse it is also to slowly extend your top leg. So you have to fight that urge, because if you are spinning a little bit faster, we tend to go whoop and want to extend quickly. But actually the slow extension on a fast spin looks just beautiful, and it looks really controlled, which is always really nice as well. And of course, just keeping your toes as pointed as you can the whole time, getting into it and out of it with control. And the other thing that I really like to do in this pose is to actually drop my head back. So when you are, again, feeling in control and feeling confident with this move, once you're in it and you're just spinning, then you can actually drop your head back. Always, always dropping your head back though with control. So a lot of the time, if you've watched any of the other videos, one of the things that I like to say a lot is that your neck should follow the line of your thoracic spine for that beautiful line. In this case though, for just a more of a dramatic effect, this time it actually doesn't. It will actually drop back if you're looking for that dramatic effect. Just be careful that you don't just throw your head back, because that is never ever good for your neck. So we want to think of lifting the chin and dropping back with complete control, of course, and looking up. So again, I'm just going to repeat that if you get nauseous, looking up can add to that feeling of nausea. So if that does not work for you, then another nice way to look is actually over your shoulder. So this here, just looking down, just down past your shoulder, is also really beautiful as well. But definitely with intentional gaze direction for this one, because just looking straight at your leg, it's just a little bit too stiff. So just think about either looking out over your shoulder, or if you want to try looking up, that also, you know, they're my two favorites. So let's give it a try. Let's put it all together. And if you can, just maybe a tiny little bit more spin and lots of finesse on getting into. We're going to hold the move just a little bit longer as well. So nice big thrust of the hips, engaging through the glutes and hugging in nice and tight. Let's give it a try. A little bit more spin if you can. And we'll go into our brass hook. And we'll bring that leg down, leaning over to the side, hook, squeeze. Thrust the hips forward, choose your gaze direction, Really pull up your kneecaps. And then we're going to re-hook the leg. You can come back into a bra seat if you like. And that's it.